Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Akiba's trip Undead and Undressed. Holy crap, that intro starts up really fast. Yeah. Alright, so let's just go have a look at the options real quick. So I'm just going to say something quickly about the Gamescom presentation. I'm not going to be doing a video on it because frankly there's not much I have to say that nobody else already has. Tearaway Unfolded? Bloody fucking Christ. I don't care. I wasn't expecting anything. I actually fell asleep during the Xbox conference when they were playing the Call of Duty demo, even though I actually liked the multiplayer. But anyway, voice language and text language can be English and Japanese. I'm going to be sticking with English for this video, but trust me when I say this, you're going to want to swap to Japanese as soon as you pick this game up, if you do pick this game up, because the English voice acting in this game feels very, very phoned in. Like, it feels like absolutely no one cares, and it feels like they got, like, just the most typical voice actors you could possibly ask for. Like, they just feel so generic and dull, and it really doesn't help the characters. I've only played this for 2.5 hours, so maybe it gets a little bit more deep, but once again, this is first impressions, so I don't never claim these to be any more than first impressions, and my first impressions is that the English voice acting is horrible. And there's one character I'm not going to show you because I don't really have a save game for that point. And their name's Nana, they're your little sister, and they are, how do I put this? They sound like they're 40 years old, even though you're like a 20-year-old, so it's kind of, like, you know, terrible. Yeah, I do not like the voice acting in this game at all. I mean, like, it's very hard for me to say something along the lines of, I hate the voice acting in X game, but, I mean, goddamn, they really don't do, it doesn't really do this game much favors. So we're going to go to my second save game because I'm pretty sure this has a long event set up before it. I might be wrong. Might be the first save game. I'm just going to, instead of just, you know, going through all the normal systems, I'm going to go and see if I can find the... No, this was the wrong save game. I'm sorry. Let's just reload something else. So yeah, that's a freaky thing in the background, isn't it? Trust me, this gets worse. Yeah, this is the save game I meant to load, I'm sorry. So I'm just going to go and go through some demonstration of the voice acting. Admittedly, these are the characters that are more generic than terrible, but still, generic isn't really a compliment. So I'll just show you these couple of characters, and then we can go and do other stuff. Also, one thing you may notice, there are a lot of loading times in this game. Thankfully, there is a fast travel system, so you have to go through a minimum of loading screens, but still, the loading screens in this game do get pretty numerous and pretty long. So we'll just go forward here, because we just need to enter where Nana, that's the character I was talking about earlier, Nana is going. We just need to enter there, and the event will start automatically. God, this game... I'll get onto what I'm thinking in a minute. I'm just gonna show like a couple of minutes of voice acting, and then we'll go and talk about everything else.
Is this Mogra?
Welcome back, Master! Oh, is it really you?
You've been gone for 3 whole days, man. Where you been?
The hell were you thinking, disappearing like that? I thought for sure you'd been kidnapped. And what's with the high-quality 3D next to you? Something smells real fishy.
Sometimes you get these decisions here. Some of them do make a difference to the story, but I think the main differences to the story is that what character you take along. You get a choice of like 3 or 4, and the characters you take along with you, you eventually get their ending, so you know, you can pick whatever you like.
Now, we both know that ain't true. If you're gonna lie, at least make it believable.
You serious? Man, I never would have guessed all those rumors floating around Akiba were actually true.
rumors.
What, you mean you haven't heard them? There've been like a million flips about it. People getting kidnapped, turned into monsters, then terrorizing the locals.
Yeah, that's...
They steal life energy from people. In other words, they drain their vitality, effectively killing all enthusiasm and zeal.
So what you're saying is those recent news reports of people being discovered in deeply lethargic states.
It's because they've been attacked by these synthesters?
I'm afraid so.
I think I understand. This is one of those truth is stranger than fractions things, right?
That would be fiction, Cotty. Truth is stranger than fiction.
So let me get this straight. You go off to apply for some shady as hell job where your employer somehow drugs you, and nothing leading up to that set off a red flag.
Come on, Toko. Besides, getting lured in by LE swag makes total sense, considering who we're talking about.
Oh, for the love of... Do you even comprehend how much trouble you've caused everyone? You don't exist.
So ignoring these two...
Yeah, you get the idea. I don't really like the voice acting in this game at all, to tell you the truth. A lot of it feels really generic. Pops doesn't feel right. Shizuku feels like... She feels like the most just phoned in thing of all. I don't know what it is about her voice, but it makes me think just like her voice actor just didn't give a shit. It's the sort of don't give a shit idol, not the sort of mysterious girl who doesn't really know much about the world. It's a pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? A generic character? Like, cliche character as well. It's just, yeah, a little bit disappointing in the voice acting side of things. Eventually we'll be able to reload my other save game. We can go around talking about the other parts of this game. Unfortunately, Nana, the other character who sounds like a 40-year-old or 30-year-old to me, doesn't really feel like... that isn't really here, and I'd have to advance further in the story in order to see her. So, you know, unfortunately, we would either have to reload one of my random save games and hope I find it, or just ignore it entirely. But trust me, it feels weird when you hear it. Let's just load this save game here. I played this, as I said before, I played this for about 2.5 hours yesterday, and I gave up because I was getting a little bit frustrated. I actually started this on the most difficult difficulty, and you'll understand why in a minute. But yeah, it just feels a bit... I'll explain. But anyway, we're gonna fast travel back to Mogra, because there is something here that's worth checking out. Little ads in the loading screen. That was actually a really fast loading screen. It usually doesn't load in that fast. So yeah, this is a recreation of Akiba. The I don't know what they call it in Japan. It's like a sub-district of Tokyo. There's like 11 or 12 different towns in Tokyo, and they all form into one big city. At least I think that's how it's understood. This is just the internal of your... This is just your main base, and if you look up at the TV there, that's actually a commercial for one of the Legend of Heroes sequels. Sen no Koizeki, if I remember correctly. And it's just so disappointing because I look at that game and it actually looks really good. It looks much better than this. And we're not going to be getting that for a considerable length of time because XSEED is still working on like a game that's 3 iterations backwards. But anyway, we'll go into the sister's room. There's a tiny bit of voice acting with her here. And yeah, it takes a while for the character models to load in.
Brother,
Yeah.
got it.
So anyway, we talked to her for synthesis. You can take your weapons and your clothes, and you can just basically fuse them together. So if we take my monitor and we fuse it with the junky keyboard, it gets like 1 extra strength on it. However, it feels like upgrading is a waste of money, especially like at this point in the game. Well, let's take this plastic umbrella and just upgrade it with all this. And see, it makes it... It's still like 80 stat points worse. I don't even know what these stat points mean, and I'll show you why in a little bit, but... Yeah, you can upgrade your armor and your weapons through here, and you can also go and buy them from the 100-something shops. So let's actually go to an area of Akiba. Little advertisements on the loading screen. Those are one of my favorite things about these games. When they throw in, like, actual advertisements for the places. Conception 2 trailer starting up there. But yeah, it's just... One of my favorite things about this game is how they advertise Akiba, and you can even go to these women on the street here, and you can get flyers from them. And if we go to the cell phone here and go to the encyclopedia, we can actually see some of them. Like, you got an encyclopedia for all the items you can use, and there's, like, in-game items you can use, you know, like potions and all that. And there's this, yeah. So if we come here, we can actually check out all the flyers that we get. It's an actual flyer from Akiba from, like, 2011. This has got to be one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a video game, but it feels so underused, and I'll explain why. So you're walking around Akiba here. If we just press triangle, it should turn on some prompts. Weirdly enough, we can't seem to go into any of the shops here, but there are a bunch of shops here you can go into, or at least somewhere. They're around this. Yeah, here we go. There are a bunch of shops you can go around to, but unfortunately, you can't actually go in them. They just have those little shots in the background, and they all tend to sell the same stuff. It's kind of unfortunate, really. There's a bunch of stuff we can buy, but it costs a ton of bloody money to actually buy any of this. Some weird music going on there. I'll actually buy this just for the purpose of demonstration. You can't actually press X to buy anything. You have to select how many of them you want. And unfortunately, when your clothes get stripped off, you actually have to go and buy more clothes. At least I think you do. I think that's how it works. Probably not. I'm just an idiot sometimes. So anyway, let's just go and actually have a look around this phone here, because I've ignored it for long enough. You can go check your status. So you can go check your skills with stripping off specific parts of clothing, specific types of clothing. So as you can see, I'm actually really good at stripping off rare Lolita clothing. That's a bit of a weird thing. You can check your money and stuff. You can come and change your equipment. I'm gonna go and put on that hat because I need something on my head. There's a reason for that. We've also got items, pretty self-explanatory, really. You can use something like these tickets here. So yeah, you can just do things like enter lotteries and all that. You can go and check their help messages. There's a lot of help messages. Save and load your game. You can go check the options again. You can also change your smartphone wallpaper based on the specific CG scenes here. So yeah, as you can see, that's not a spoiler, by the way. That's the very beginning of the game. It's like 10 minutes in. That's more like 15 minutes in. But yeah, you can pick one of these CG scenes that says your wallpaper. It feels a bit fourth wall-y. You've got the Tattoo app, which lets you select what quests you want to do. We're going to be doing nothing but side quests here. There's not that much to do at this point in the game. Again, 2.5 hours. You can check the camera, and the camera will often tell you. The camera will tell you who the bad guys are. I haven't 100% figured out how this works yet. It also tells you what clothes and stuff they're wearing. Thankfully, you can also access it quickly by pressing up on the D-pad. But you can also beat the shit out of anyone and take their clothes anyway. We'll show that off eventually. I didn't mean to press that. But yeah, that's a synthesizer by the looks of things. Bollocks! I keep pressing the wrong button. Start. There. If we go back to the cell phone, we've got Peta. It's a little bit like a social network where you can just check the posts that everyone's put up. It's a bit weird. Admittedly, this is pretty good writing sometimes. Especially there, right there at the bottom. Have fun fucking weeds. That threw me off. I wasn't expecting there to be a fuck in this game. Email is just more personal contacts. Like, it's a bunch of weird stuff. Yeah. That character that's actually the wallpaper, it feels... Again, they all feel a bit generic. You can also check your records. Pretty obvious, really. Yeah, it says 2 hours. I've been playing for longer than that. I've died a few times, because, this is the hardest difficulty imaginable. So, without further ado, get the fuck out of my way. Oh, bullshit. God damn it. So, we've just been walked back to the map here. I should probably go to one of those side quest locations. Which one of them had the combat puzzle again? No, it's just Conception 2 again. I was hoping it'd show something different. To do... Where do I have to go for the... Where do I have to go for silent mode? So it's either Electric Town Plaza, Junk Street, or UD. Junk Street. So yeah, there's an ad for Conception 2's Japanese version that's been out for ages in Japan, by the way. So, and there's ads for Mind Zero plastered around too. You can see them every now and again. It's just, these references feel so outdated, especially since, like, Conception 2 came out 6 months ago. And even longer ago in freaking Japan, so it feels a bit weird. But yeah, you can wander around these streets and just take a look around. And these are based, well, most of these are all based off actual shops. There are some areas where it's like they couldn't base it off the particular shop because they didn't authorize the use of their presentation in the game. But still, it's a pretty accurate map, at least from what I've been told. And there are a lot of shops you can go into. If we press triangle, it should show us a couple, at the very least. But again, my problem with it is just everything sells the same stuff, other than just different backgrounds. There's no, like, real... Like, back with The World Ends With You, a DS RPG from back in, what, 2008, 2009? Yeah, there's another shop. Every shop carried, like, different brands, and so the different brands all actually did different stuff in-game. All the shops tend to sell the same thing, really. If there was a little bit of, like, flavor text for every shop describing their history, or, like, even if they had all the flyers out front that you could look at, so instead of walking around asking different ladies for different shops, you could just walk out the front of a shop and look at its flyer, well, that would be a lot better, at least in my opinion. So what we're going to do is we're just going to look around Junk Street and see if we can find this quest. That's the thing with the side quests in this game, is that you have to look around for them, and you can't really just, you know, look at a map and say, oh, I have to go there. But the movement in this game is actually pretty crap, I have to tell you the truth. It's really hard to... The control stick feels a bit odd. It feels like I'm locked on an 8-way, but then sometimes it'll snap back to let me go in 360, and sometimes it won't. It feels really inconsistent, and it's hard to move around. Not to mention that it's really hard to dodge around characters, and you'll often just be pushing them out of the way like that, and you'll be hearing that sound effect a lot, and it annoys the crap out of me. So now we just either we have to find this quest that we have to go on. Yeah, Gothic ladies. You can't talk to these people, by the way.
I can't.
So yeah, it's just a bit odd. There are boys love fangirls that walk around, and you can talk to them, and boys love means exactly what you think it means, just dirtier. So, okay, I think we should go into camera mode, see if we can find any of these bastards. So let's take a photo. Yeah. Oh, bollocks. So now if we push him out of the way, there we go. We've gone into combat mode. So combat works as such. You have 3 attack buttons, triangle, circle, and X. And they each aim for a specific bit of headgear. Well, they each aim for a specific bit of gear. You can also use the R button to try and dodge, but yeah, you kind of get floored a lot. If you hold R, sometimes you'll dodge an attack if you're standing still, but sometimes it'll hit you anyway. And it's really, really fucking frustrating for some reason. It just feels really inconsistent. You may have noticed that I took a fuck ton of damage. As I said earlier, I started the lowest difficulty of this game, or the highest difficulty of this game, I should say. So everything gets done in 1 or 2 hits. And especially when you've got a bastard that's like, it takes like 10 hits to get anything off him. It's really fucking annoying. And there was this one time in the game's battle arena where I was fighting them, and not only did he manage to do a 5-hit combo on me, like, immediately, he also stripped off both the shirt and the pants I had at the time. So he came up to me, hit me 5 times, then took off all my clothes when all my health was out. So fucking frustrating. And by the way, when you lose all your clothes, it's game over. So the idea of this game is that you have to strip the clothes off people. You have to strip off all their clothes. Which feels kind of weird in a story context because everybody's supposed to be extremely weak to sunlight. Now, think about this. I've stripped off both his pants and his shirt, and he's still up and walking around. But if I strip off his headphones, that's when he falls over and dies. Thankfully, you can also stand still and get your health back on your clothes by readjusting them. But it can get really, really frustrating at times. So now I've torn off all these clothes, he'll drop some stuff for me to pick up. And disappear into thin air. Again, really odd. He doesn't do it until I take his bloody headphones off. Thankfully, the same rules apply to you. So you can just like, you know, you can just, as long as your headgear is fine, you'll be okay. But again, you don't really, on the hardest difficulty, you don't want to be like that because it's like, bollocks, I cannot get the buttons right on this. Fuck. Yeah, everything seems okay here. Yeah, you don't really want to be that close to death all the time, though. So, let's just take a photo of these Gothic Lolitas, and yeah, that looks... Alright, you know what? There's been no progress made in this save game, so come here. Gothic Lolitas are actually really strong, so this is going to probably end in my death. Nope, 2 of them ran away, never mind. So yeah... The battles themselves are actually fairly fast, but again, I just don't like them because they feel kind of inconsistent. Sometimes I'll block and dodge a move, sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll be able to take out 2 people on their own just fine. Sometimes they'll just crowd around me and just beat the shit out of me without even asking questions. There are different weapons you can use. But I don't really feel like they're any different. They come in a couple of different classes and varieties, but still. And stats really don't feel like they matter. I don't feel any stronger even after leveling up like 4 or 5 times. And we can do a chain strip here. The more of a chain strip you do, the more XP you get. You can also do like counters. But they literally say something like, you know, this is really hard to do, so it'll probably just come along randomly. They're not kidding, it's really fucking hard to do a counter in this game, and it's a pain in the ass. Alright, so what did she drop? She dropped a raffle ticket. Fantastic. So, the fighting in this game just doesn't feel that great, to tell you the truth. You can also do critical hits by, like, holding back and then pressing a button by pressing an attack button, but it's like, God, it's just such a pain in the ass to do. I haven't actually pulled one off. After the game told me about it, it took me like 5 tries, and I've never been able to pull one off in an actual battle again. And now everybody recognizes me now. Oh, we've actually started a fight. Again, sometimes they just get you into combos like that, and you can't avoid it. I mean, I'd be a little bit more understanding of it if I mean, like, I am playing on the hardest difficulty. I know that, and there is some difficulty to be had. But when an enemy can take out the entirety of my armor in one combo that I can't get away from because his friend is backing him up, it's just a massive, massive pain in the ass. Thankfully, I've got this guy backed into a corner, so he can't really do much to me. Unfortunately, I just cannot seem to get to him from here. I've also, yeah, as we can, I've also taken out his armor, so like, you can also take out his armor without stripping it off, or anyone's armor without stripping it off, but yeah. That takes a lot of hits to do. Oh look, another guy came in completely randomly, and now I've got this battle's like twice as long as it has to be. There's a reason why I gave up on this game a little while ago, and I'll be happy to show it to you in a little bit. First thing I have to do is have to heal up. There are items you can use. If I press down on the D-pad, you can use things like waterproof spray and other things in your inventory. I'm not 100% sure what those items would be, but I'm just... Again, this is all first impressions, and after 2 hours, I don't have a very good first impression. The battles feel a bit... They feel really weird, and it feels hard. It doesn't feel like I can combo guys effectively, or defeat them effectively, or just... Other people are probably having much less trouble with this than I am, but I went for the weapon with the highest stats, and I'm not having that much fun. I can't change my equipment in battle. I'll change to the umbrella I made, and I'll see if that makes a difference to how the combat actually is. This will be a chain strip. Now I just need to beat the crap out of the guy's head. I'm carrying around what is literally a computer monitor, and I have not killed this guy yet. How is that even possible? How is this guy not dead? I'll take that. And now we've got another guy here. I'm just gonna... Oh, I'm running from battle. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna run from battle. Also, my AI compatriot is right there, and he has not helped. Wait. Ah, crap. Probably shouldn't have run this way. Loading screen, loading screen, loading screen. Yep, this is going to start the story event that I was pissed off at.
I mean, there's always a lot of people here, but
Let's just skip this. The voice acting doesn't get any better. Okay, so here comes the fight. You're given 6 people to take out. I'm gonna die, like, instantly, and this isn't gonna be pleasant. I guess this is as good a point as any to end off my video of this game, though. Akiba's trip, Undead and Undressed, really doesn't make that very good use of its town. It just feels a little bit underused, like there's no history about the place. It's just wander around, get a couple of flyers here and there. Otherwise, it's just a town, an RPG typical town with a ton of shops. The plot isn't that interesting from the bloody fuck Christ. The town just doesn't feel that interesting from the really large amount of fucking hell. I gotta get up. I keep forgetting I have to hit a button to get up. I just gotta run and get my clothes back on before they get the chance to hit me again. It just doesn't feel like it uses the town much. The voice acting feels really phoned in. The battles themselves aren't that satisfying, and leveling up. I'm like level 5 right now, and I haven't felt any sort of big attack boost. I'll just take that off. Chain strip. Thankfully, you can chain strip people from really far away, so you can just whittle this sort of group down by running around and just trying to beat the crap out of them, but that's not going to work sometimes. Again, the battle, I'm just not satisfied with the battling, especially since leveling up doesn't give me any sort of real improvement that I can feel. I really shouldn't do this here. I'll come over here so the AI keeps this bitch keeps these guys distracted. I can heal up. And it just feels frustrating, especially when they get a 5-hit combo on you, then strip off both your clothes at once. There is a battle arena that you can use to practice, but they say it's a mock battle, but the problem is that it's not really a mock battle, because if you get your clothes stripped off, it's game over anyway. And that kind of throws me off. So yeah, voice acting isn't interesting. Story is pretty dull. I gotta run. Jesus Christ. Again, there's no peeling one or two off from the pack like in... Like, I'm gonna praise Dark Souls here. Usually I don't do this because I hate Dark Souls, but at least in Dark Souls, you'd be able to pull at least one or two away from the pack and focus on them. But no, in this game, if you attract the fury of 3 or 4, there's no way to get your AI companion to help you out. And when they dodge all your attacks, it feels like they're gonna just try and hit you back. Can I... No, that's not how you do it. Really should have equipped my other weapon, but I can't now. I knew I shouldn't have run this direction. That's kind of annoying. I wish I hadn't had the time to... Oh, God. Don't want to stick around for that. Oh, wow! Jesus! I gotta go. Yeah, as you can see, this battle is just a massive pain in the neck, especially on the hardest difficulty. And yeah, it feels like artificially difficult on the hardest difficulty. I mean, when one attack like that can take out your entire clothing line. I've upgraded my clothes several times already and they still feel a bit weak. Upgrading feels like it does absolutely nothing. Bitch, help me out, god damn. And frankly, I don't really care about the game enough to restart on a lower difficulty. It just feels kind of generic. I mean, I might not have a problem recommending... Well, I wouldn't recommend this, but if I was in a drought, I could say you could go for much worse on the Vita. But, I mean, we just got Disgaea 4. We're getting Sword Art Online in a week. We're getting Hyperdimension Neptunia in 2 weeks. And I've already played that, and that's fantastic. I've played, well, I haven't played Danganronpa 2, but I know how good of a game that is. People are actually playing that because NISA tends to send out physical copies of their games. And people have been playing that, and they have been saying it's just as good as Danganronpa 1, if not better. Yes, you do strip the women in this game, just as much as you do the men. Thankfully, you can also pick up their stuff just while you're here, but... And you should remember to do that, by the way, but... Yeah, it's just... With games like Sword Art Online and Hyperdimension Neptunia and Warriors Orochi 3, which I actually have actually played, it's got a lot of potential, because I have the Japanese import version. And, just with Natural Doctrine coming, it's just... I can't in my right mind say that this game is worth putting alongside those games. And let me put it this way. It's not terrible, but I mean, it's decidedly mediocre at the very least. And if you want a decent RPG and you don't have the money to spend on one or two, this is definitely not the game you want to go for. Maybe if you have everything else and you're looking for something else just to pass the time with. This isn't terrible by any means. It's just mediocre. It's like not Warriors Orochi 3, like Valhalla Knights 3. It's mediocre, but it has some redeeming value to it. And you can still find enjoyment from it from time to time. It's just something you really shouldn't expect to enjoy thoroughly, at least from what I've experienced so far. Thankfully, I'm actually going to be able to get past this fight, but honestly, I don't really think I'll be continuing to play this. There's more games to play coming up. There's going to be Sword Art Online. I'm going to have access to Danganronpa 2 in like a week or two, just by judging by NISA's general release patterns. And it's like 2.6 gig. I was almost expecting it to be a lot smaller, but with the amount of different flyers and an amount of voice acting and the fact that there's videos and trailers packed into the game and all sorts of advertisements and all that. Alright, I think we're done here. Yeah, we've leveled up a bit. Not by much. It won't make that much of a difference. Again, electric guitar at the very least. That's kind of an interesting weapon, but... Yeah, everyone's dead, so they're just letting us walk around and try and find the weapons we didn't get, but yeah, we're not going to have enough time. I'm not going to bother showing you this little bit of voice acting stuff here.
What's going on? Was there a fight?
But, yeah, it's average at very best, and I don't like it that much, and I wouldn't recommend it over, like, Disgaea 4 or Hyperdimension Neptunia. Sword Art Online, I'm still out about because I haven't had a chance to play that yet. I'll let you know as soon as possible. But yeah, out of all the games I've played so far, like in August's RPG Rush, this is probably the bottom of the list, and I can't see how Sword Art Online would go that much further down. Then again, you might like it. You might like being able to wander around a full-size recreation of Akiba and go into all the shops and getting all the flyers and finding all the hidden peonies. I don't even know how that comes into the game at this point, but yeah, decidedly average, and I wouldn't recommend this over Disgaea 4 or Hyperdimension Neptunia or something like that. This has been Blue Maxima, and I'll see you all next time.